From the newsroom of the Bryant College Station Eagle, this is the Brazos Sports Prepscast. And now, the Eagle High School sports team, Alex Miller and Jake Weiss.
Welcome in, everybody, to the Brazos Sports Prepcast. No, I'm not Alex Miller. I'm not Jake Weiss. This is Andrew Tinio that'll be hosting today. I don't know why we've chosen to do this, but I'm here regardless. To my left, Alex. How are you doing, sir?
I'm tired, but I got like 11 hours of sleep last night. A&M football has a new coach. Don't have to be on the search anymore and get to talk some high school football because we got 2 teams left.
I'm jealous with the amount of hours that you got to sleep. How about you, Mr. Jake Weiss?
Yeah, doing good, man. Yeah, I was going to ask you, Alex, you have 11 hours. You have a busy weekend or something?
Yeah, something like that.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I was too busy watching Auburn crumble in the Iron Bowl.
Yeah, don't ask. You had to bring that up. Can I walk out like the podcast?
Too soon. Well, you hit it right on the noggin. Then there were 2. We've got 2 teams left from the Brazos Valley that'll be competing for a spot at state in a couple weeks. Talk to me. We're going to head on out to Consol and Franklin are the 2 teams left. Let's start with A&M Consolidated. They got Smithson Valley upcoming at 7 p.m. They had a pretty good game against Cedar Park. Talk to me a little bit about what you saw from the Tigers last week.
Yeah, man. So first off, big shout out to the fans, Consol fans, man. I thought they showed out real well, especially for a Thanksgiving game. I think, Alex, you and I talked, maybe all 3 of us, I talked about this with you guys. Like, I didn't know how the crowd would look because, Thanksgiving, people have plans, go see in-laws. But, man, really impressive crowd. I got there like 4 or 5 minutes before kickoff, a little later than I would have liked. But that's because, parking lots were full, stands were full. Man, I was real impressed with that crowd showing. And, boy, did the Tigers, they put on a show for those fans that showed out. 16 points came from special teams. They had a kickoff return by Trey Taylor, second quarter. They also had a blocked, even before Trey Taylor's kickoff return, the play before, Cedar Park goes down, gets a touchdown. You think, okay, well, hey, they got some momentum now. It's 14. It's 14. About to be 14-7. Nope. Kick gets blocked by Trace Meadows. Ethan Walton, linebacker, sophomore, picks it up, returns it all the way for a safety, and then on the very next play, Trey Taylor takes it 74 yards on a kickoff return. Man, you're already feeling pretty good. And then starts its third quarter, Consol's next touchdown. Trace Meadows takes it 80 yards for another kickoff return. So, man, those big plays, I was real impressed with that. That's a 16-point swing right there, and, man, did they look good.
Hey, how about Ethan Walton, too? He made the newspaper.
He did, yeah, man. I saw this tweet. I like that tweet. As soon as I saw that quote, he does like instant like.
Yeah, I don't know what was more impressive last week, Consol's win or Coach Schmidt's bowling skills. I mean, you want to talk about hidden talent. I mean, they had a little team outing to Grand Station, it looked like, and my man was probably serving up turkeys on Wednesday at the lanes.
You showed me that video, Alex, and I couldn't stop watching it. Like, I just kept replaying his part. Like, holy cow! Like, maybe I suck at bowling. Maybe I should say I know I suck at bowling.
You play with the bumpers?
Oh yeah, of course. No, I haven't gone bowling in a while, but yeah, I definitely would save myself the embarrassment. But no, man, he just like launched that, and it was just boom! Like, holy cow, man.
I need to see your number. We need to go sometime. I need to see your number, what your bowling number looks like. 'Cause I need to know what range I'm working with here score-wise.
Like I said earlier, I'll go walk out right now in the pot. Let it be a 2-man show.
Hey, well, reeling it back in, okay. Yeah. Consol, they're gonna be facing maybe their toughest opponent yet this week in Smithson Valley. Okay, the Rangers are the real deal. I saw them last week against College Station pull out that 5-point win in Hutto. This is a really stingy defense that just executes well on offense. Kind of sounds similar to what we're seeing from Consol right now, right? I mean, when you look at the Rangers, I was so impressed with Brad Sowersby and especially Cade Spradling. He is a huge dude, okay? Like, you want to talk about a matchup to watch? I want to see how Consol's front 7 can stop those 2 guys and how critical Trace Meadows can play at that linebacker position. He's been so good for them on defense this year. They're going to need him big this week against that really solid running duo. And then out wide, of course, Freddie DeBoz. I learned last week it's DeBoss, not DeBose. And Jackson Duffy, they made some big-time catches. College Station wanted to limit the big plays. Smithson Valley got him. Ryland Walker, he threw 3 interceptions for the Rangers, but he still got the job done. I was also just really impressed with how the Rangers were able to slow down that College Station offense. Nobody has had an answer for the Cougars all season until Smithson Valley last week. The way they were able to slow them down and really just, control the game and the tempo was very impressive. And just from the looks of things, Consol's offense is just firing on all cylinders. It looks like they've really found a groove. It sounds like Will is playing with a lot of confidence, which is a huge deal for them at quarterback. We talked all through the second half of the regular season about, can Consol just figure it out on offense? We know what they've got on defense. Can they figure it out on offense? And they finally have. The defense continues to play at a high level, and they're just going to have to continue putting together these complete games if they want to keep this thing going. And, I don't have any reason to pick against them right now other than the fact that Smithson Valley is really good, but I still think I'm going to pick Consol this week.
I think Jake hit the nail right on the head with the special teams. And now you've got Trey Taylor going on top of what you already have with Trace Meadows. Now you've got Trey Taylor. Was it 4 or 5 touchdowns the past 2 weeks? Because he had a couple against Fulshire, and he had Do you have 2 or 3 against?
He had 2 against. He had 2 last week. He had 1. It was a 50-yard screen pass, and then he had the kickoff return for 2, and then so multiple.
Yeah, but we've got both. We got 2 guys now that's capable of taking it back to the house, and that's again I've been talking about Consol's special teams for what seems like a month now being the big advantage. But yeah, just wanted to add that the special teams is just another unit that just has been improving all year. So,
to me, Consol's got to protect the football. They've got to establish a run game. They've got to limit big plays on defense. And they've got what it takes. But yet again, they're going to have to play their best game. Jake, you talked with Coach Hill earlier today. What did he have to say, coming into this matchup against Consol?
Yeah, so it's funny, Alex. When you first were talking about their 2 running backs, Smithson Valley's running duo, and then how Trace Meadows in the front 7 were really going to have to step up. It's funny. He actually said the exact same thing when I asked him, hey, who are some of the guys on defense that have really stood out to you? He mentioned, Consol is a big front 7, and then that linebacker, Trace Meadows. He's a guy you just kind of got to watch for. He's a guy that really sticks out. Offensively, he really pointed to Peyton Bjork. Peyton Bjork was the first guy he mentioned, but he also mentioned a ton of other guys on the offense. I mean, we've talked about all year how Consol is a plethora of playmakers, and he said the same thing. You try to take away one guy, you can't do that against Consol, because if you take away one guy, someone else is stepping up. I mean, we've seen Alice Myers do it. He talked about Will Hargett. Will Hargett's improved. He's throwing the ball real well right now, and I did the same thing Friday. Will threw the ball real well. Heck, he started the game off with a 31-yard touchdown on Consol's first drive, got him on the scoreboard, got him that lead, and then they never trailed again. But yeah, I mean, he pretty much just said it's going to be a fight. It's 2 good teams. At this stage, we all know it's good football teams, and it's just another tough game for them in this region. He really spoke highly of Region 3, and he said it's just another tough game in the Region 3 slate.
Well, the winner of this one, they get the winner of Corpus Christi Miller and Brownsville Veterans Memorial next week. Consol singing its first state semifinal appearance since 2005. Almost 20 years. So
let's move on over to the other remaining Brass Valley team. It's the Franklin Lions. They'll be down the road in Georgetown facing Lorena, a rematch from earlier this year, as everyone knows. Lorena broke the streak in an 11-3A matchup at 7 p.m.
Yeah, here we go again. It's Lions and Leopards, right? I mean, these two, they are very familiar with each other. They've played a lot, whether as district opponents or non-district opponents over the last few years. Lorena, of course, snapped Franklin's 39-game win streak earlier this year, and that just absolute thriller of a game at Hedrick Field. Look, Lorena, they're rolling, okay? What they did to Columbus last week was just wild, okay? I thought Lorena could beat Columbus. If we were picking the game, I would have picked Columbus, but I would have been like, if Lorena won, I wouldn't be surprised. But to go out and win 42-21, and granted, it was 42-14 before we got into garbage time. I mean, that was very impressive. A lot of people were picking Columbus to win the state championship heading into the playoffs, and rightfully so. I mean, the Cardinals were playing better than everyone. And so, what an absolutely dominating effort by Lorena. But, yet again, it's Franklin. So, they're kind of playing with that underdog mentality. They're playing with a chip on their shoulder. Yeah, so it's going to be a good one, I think, on Friday night.
Well, Alex, I know you'll be there, and gotta admit, I'm a little surprised you're going since I hate to bring up old wounds, but you were at the game that ended the streak. So I'm a little surprised that you're allowed to show your face around, Franklin again. I guess it's not in Franklin, but so I'm kind of curious, Alex. What do you I guess now that you were at the first one, what are you kind of hoping to see from the Lions this time around? Second crack at Lorena.
Yeah, Lorena's been scoring like crazy lately. If Franklin wants to win this game, their defense has got to tighten up. I mean, look, when Franklin played them the first time, they were up pretty big at halftime. I want to say it was a 17-point game. But the Lions, they kind of folded on defense in that second half and could not stop Lorena, okay? Braylon Henry had a huge game, and he had another huge game last week against Columbus. And so I don't doubt that Franklin can score points. They obviously they hung almost 50 on Lorena last time. So like they can score, and we know what they're capable of. They've kept it rolling through the end of the regular season and through the playoffs on offense. Can that defense match a good outing from the offense, though? I'm going out to Franklin tomorrow, planning on talking with their linebackers, getting to hear what they have to say about this game. Lorena, similar to Consol, is just really clicking at the right time. And, it's one of those deals, you catch a team red hot at the wrong moment and you might be the better team, but it doesn't work out in your favor. Here's the deal, though, is that it's hard to beat a team twice. Mm-hmm. We know that. Coach Fannin said as much last week when they were getting ready to play Little River Academy, and it turned out pretty similarly. Mm-hmm. I think this one is going to be another one-score game. I'm just curious if Franklin has what it takes on defense to come up with that big stop when they need it, instead of folding when the game's on the line, kind of like they did last go-around.
Well, we do have 2 left, like I mentioned, but there were 6 that were going into last week. We'll dive in a little bit to the other matchups that went on. There were bitter losses, including the one that I went to out in Oakwood, St. Joseph's.
Yeah, that sounded like it was a fun game.
It was, and it didn't seem like a 6-man game for a half. It was 16-12 heading into halftime.
Oh, really?
And Baytown Christian was shut out entirely in the second quarter. They were up 16-0 after one quarter. It didn't look too great for St. Joe's, but Mark Mishler did Mark Mishler things. He ended up with 5 touchdowns in the night. Just a little bit too short. I think their start kind of got them behind the wheel a little bit. They couldn't stop Braden Anderson, who ended up going for 6 touchdowns and almost 300 yards. He was the entire Baytown Christian offense. I don't know if he didn't play the first time around, but it kind of looked like it hit them for a little bit. But a great effort from St. Joe's. It was a game all the way to the end. There never really felt like there was a moment where they were out of it. It was just a little bit too much Braylon Anderson for their liking. But a great year from St. Joseph's. Very passionate fan base. It was a little heartbreaking to see them at the end, but it was competitive throughout. I want to also talk about, you did not only go to one game, you also went to the Bremond game against Falls City. Talk to me a little bit about how that game went down.
Yeah, I went over to Cedar Park afterward, Gupton Stadium, where Jake's going to be at Friday to watch Consol. But, oh my gosh, that game, Bremond Falls City, pretty heartbreaking loss for Coach Kosowski's team. They end up losing by 1 point. Falls City, they really controlled the game in the first half. We talk about Braylon's. They had a guy, Braylon Johnson, at quarterback. I mean, that dude was dumb wicked fast. I mean, we were sitting up there. I was sitting with Michael Hagg from he's freelancer for the Waco Tribune, our sister paper, and we were just like, man, that kid is hard to catch. I mean, he looked like Johnny Manziel out there, honestly. And he made the Tigers pay with his legs. He had some really long runs. But credit to Bremond, they could have kind of rolled over and just let Falls City run away with it, but they didn't. They dug their heels in and they made it a game. And when the game was on the line, Bremond drove down to tie the game and did. And at first, Coach Kozowski, he keeps the offense out on the field, and they're going to go for 2 and go for the win. You're playing to win the game. And then Falls City calls a timeout, second guessed, and was like, it sounded like after the game, Falls City coach was like, yeah, we were pretty sure what they were going to run on a 2-point play, so we called a timeout to tell our defense. And I don't know, Coach Kozowski might have been switched the channels and heard their radio or their headsets, or just had them spidey skills. But he could sense that Falls City knew it was coming and decided to just kick the extra point. And it went wide right. So, it was such a great game, and it was a valiant comeback from Bremond. Just didn't work out in the end, but hey, heck of a season for the Tigers. I mean, got to watch Coben Zan finally. I mean, that's a big guy, and he can run it. So, just one of those games. You just got to tip the cap to the other team for coming out on top.
I'll admit, for a couple of weeks, I picked against Lexington, and they proved me wrong time and time again. I know Lexington played against Poth. Their season did come to an end. You have anything to say about Lexington, that game?
Yeah, I kind of think similar to Alex, tip your cap. Pope 6th ranked. We talked kind of not all year about Lexington, how young they are, but I think early in the playoffs, we were kind of like, Lexington's real young. What's going to happen? Especially last year, they got upset. They went undefeated in the regular season, got upset in by district. This year, proved us kind of all wrong, or at least me wrong, because they went 3 rounds.
Prove me wrong.
Yeah, still a young team. Just kind of just came to an end, like you said, tip a cap, 26-7 to Poth. Lexington was able to tie the game at 1.77, but then Poth scored right before half, 13-7 lead for them, and then it was kind of just Poth the rest of the way. Lexington's passing game was pretty decent, but man, they just really couldn't run the ball. I think they finished with minus 18 rushing yards. Got to admit, I'm not a coach, but if you rush for minus 18 yards, pretty hard to come away with the win. But hey, once again, credit to Lexington, because they made a run I didn't think they'd make this year, and going to be a young team, going to get a lot of those guys back. You think about it, Case Evans, the quarterback, for example. He's just a sophomore. He's got 2 more years at Lexington, so it'll be a lot of fun to see what Lexington can do, not just next year, I think, but just kind of in the future.
You two will be on the road this upcoming weekend on Friday. Any food recommendations? Any early ideas for what you're going to stop and grub on before y'all get to the stadium, or y'all going to wait to the stadium to get food?
Come on, 600 Degrees Pizza, downtown Georgetown.
Oh, that's a great
one. Are you going to greet them?
What?
You going to be there with them?
No. Probably going to be running late, if anything. So.
Yeah, not surprised.
Yeah, no, honestly, Alex should be the one to come up with, if anyone needs Cedar Park recommendations, even though I've already been there this season.
All right, console people.
Okay, hear 'em out.
Okay, go to Pluckers on Lakeline Road. It's on the way, okay? Great wings, good atmosphere. It's only like 15 minutes from the stadium. You have to drive past it to get there anyway, okay? Go get you a good meal. Pluckers coming to town next year. I'm a Wings and More loyalist, but Pluckers gives Wings and More a run for their money, I'll say it.
I don't want to get too far off track here, but I know about a month or so ago, the regular season finale, I went to Hutto, and you were just at Hutto. How many hippos did you see?
Dude, I saw a lot.
Okay.
I saw a lot, okay? Probably at least 30.
Whoa.
Okay.
Allegedly, there's over 700 statues of hippos in that town.
I clearly did not go through Hutto enough, because I probably saw about 25 or 30
okay, you were at the stadium though, right?
Yeah, and
they have the hippos right outside the stadium.
They do, yeah.
Hey, also huge shout out to the Hutto ISD folks over there. They're running a good show over at the stadium, and I appreciated it. So thank you.
All right. Any other final comments from either one of you about this coming week? Anything else?
Hey, on our playoff preview show, I said Consol was a dark horse.
Oh.
And I know I picked against the Tigers, against Fulshire, but here they are, okay? They're in round 4. I'm going with the Tigers this week. See if they can get back to the state semifinals for the first time in almost 20 years.
Well, if we get to play that card, I want to play that card here, because if you remember, I said it on the K-Ags TV show after Media Day. I said Consol I thought would have a chance to go far. So if we're taking credit for things, I'd like to.
Receipts are getting pulled out left and right
Yeah.
here. Well, that's all we got. Thank you for tuning into us, and we will see you next time we record.